What's going on, guys? So this is a product you've probably seen on my channel quite a few times. This is the Boeshield T9 Rust and Corrosion Protection Waterproof Lubrication, and it was developed by the Boeing Corporation. And regardless of all the craziness going on at Boeing right now, this is actually a really good product. And this stuff is great for all sorts of different applications, such as marine, automotive, bicycle, RV, jack stand, slide out, steps and awnings, tools, as well as household uses. I love this stuff, and like I said, this bottle is empty, and this was the last bottle I had. So the timing of this was perfect, and Boeshield reached out and said, hey, we'd like to send you some more. We see that you use this stuff and love it. Let's sponsor a video. So this video is sponsored by Boeshield and their T9 product. Let me show you just a few of many applications this can be used for. So first off, and one that probably wouldn't surprise many folks, is bicycle components like chains, derailleurs, and other areas that you need to keep lubricated so they run smooth. Another great place would be your RV coupler. Just keep all this stuff moving really well so it doesn't seize up on you. Your RV suspension components. Even on the heavier duty ones too. Industrial components. Crank handles. Hinges. Really any type of a hinge, and anything that might creak or need a little extra protection. This stuff really works great, and I use it all over the place. And when you run out of it, you find yourself wondering how quickly you can get more of it. So yeah, I definitely want to give a big shout out to the folks over at Boeshield T9 for sponsoring this video. This has been a product I've been using for years, and whenever you run out, you quickly want to reorder more because this is really good stuff. And I'll throw a link in the video description if this is something you may be interested in. And you know what, while we're on the topic of maintenance and lubricating things and using the right stuff to make sure your RV lasts as long as it can possibly last, let's shift to a topic that I know is one that's passionate to a lot of folks, and it's one that I think we need to talk about. And that is, are all these built terribly? Now, here's the key. So whenever you look at RVs, you're going to have folks who recommend certain brands. And typically if they recommend a brand, it's either because they like what the manufacturer has claimed that they're doing, they either own the brand, or maybe a combination of both. They liked what a manufacturer was doing and they decided to buy that brand, so they've become a fan of the brand and they're recommending it to you. When you hear negative feedback about RVs, it's kind of the same thing. Maybe somebody was really excited to get into an RV. They did some research, but maybe not a tremendous amount of research on a specific build quality of a specific brand. They were trying to hit a really affordable budget. Maybe it's a combination of multiple things, and they had a bad experience or multiple bad experiences, and they post about it, they share it, and they say avoid these brands because of this problem. Now, I recently put a poll out explaining to folks that we are now on the path of probably getting rid of both of the RVs, only because we've kind of squeezed the lemon dry. There's not a heck of a lot more I can talk to you about this Brookstone. It was a collaboration unit with my channel, Coachman Fifth Wheels, and a lot of manufacturers to put this thing together. Has a lot of really cool features and upgrades that were never available, and some features that are still not available on the Brookstone fifth wheel lineup. But ultimately, it was a really educational video series for me, even because I got to dive really deep behind the curtain on what makes RVs different, what they do from a manufacturing perspective to really differentiate themselves, as well as some of the things that they don't care so much about, some of the things that they really focus on. That was big, and it was probably the first RV manufacturer collaboration on YouTube. So a lot of YouTube channels have now collaborated with manufacturers. They've created custom floor plans and custom things, and that's awesome. And I think that that is great for the entire industry, and it's great for folks looking for RVs. For me, I was trying to bring a level of innovation to the parts of the RVs that matter the most to me. And I think that that was largely accomplished. The focus on quality tires is now a big deal. So even if you buy, you know, a relatively mid-level brand of fifth wheel or travel trailer, you're typically seeing better quality tires and better suspension. Not all the time, but on a lot of them. And that is a huge focus of my channel. And I think that that has definitely been something we've all been able to do to kind of steer the industry in the right direction. Now, back on the topic, when we talk about RVs and we focus on the things that make people either love a brand or hate a brand, or love RVs or hate RVs, a lot of it comes down to people's perception, what they think based off of the content people have posted, based on the channels that they follow, based on the different folks who have owned RVs. A lot of it comes down to personal experience. I've owned an RV. I've had these problems. These problems have made me have a negative impression of RVs. Or it's just an opinion based off of the entire kind of world of RVing. I see people who buy RVs and largely they say they will never be something that you can just enjoy without problems. And that's true. RVs are always going to have problems. They are always. I don't care what brand you buy. I don't care how good their customer service is. I don't care what their reputation is, how much they innovate, what quality products they use. They are always going to have problems. And guess what? The more you use them, the more problems you're going to uncover. Now, not all of those problems are going to be related to the manufacturing of the RV. Some of those problems might just be inherent to taking an RV over the road. For instance, if you buy a new pickup truck or a new car, the manufacturer will never claim that your tire will never blow out. They will never make the claim that a part will never fail. You will not be able to go to a manufacturer and have them guarantee that that brand new car, that brand new truck, that brand new air conditioner in your home, that brand new stove, refrigerator will never break. They're built well now. They're built better than they've ever been, but they're never going to say that this thing will never fail. And I know some people are probably going to say, no, they're not built as well as they've ever been. But from an energy perspective and the federal requirements that are now in place, they're built really good. And things, for the most part, have been improving. When it comes to RVs, though, the opinion oftentimes is that you pay so much for these things that they should never fail. And that's just not an expectation to live up to. That's never going to be an expectation the manufacturers are going to have. It's never going to be one they'll tell you. They've never told you that. Why am I making this video then? The point of this video is whenever we talk about RVs, there will always be mixed opinions on RVs and ownership and the experiences people have had. So if I said, what's your opinion on Alliance? For example, Alliance RV. I think they build a pretty dang phenomenal RV. I do. I love the fact that they're integrating technology that makes them hold up better. Azdel on the outside, Azdel on the inside, better flooring, better roofing technology, better frames. They have the CURT touring suspension, independent suspension with coil springs. They have the new Helix PinBox. It's going to really reduce the amount of shock and vibration and stuff that makes it into the body of the RV. Those are all really good things. And there's an entire group of people that they call allies that own Alliance units and for the most part give them great praise. But then there are people who own Alliance units that have had problems. They've had a lot of problems. They've had issues. They've had customer service related issues. They've had quality related issues. They've had problems with things breaking. This is just something that happens when you own an RV. And I'm just using Alliance as an example. I believe they build a really good RV. But the opinions are going to sway on both sides. You're going to have a lot of people who love their Alliance, and then you're going to have some people who don't like their Alliance. And then you're going to have people who hate their Alliance or hate the brand because they support somebody who had problems, and they will real quickly jump on that bandwagon to support that person who they're close with or who they follow, and they will start bashing the product because they don't have any direct experience, but they're trying to support people that they care about. I get that. That happens a lot of times. I think that is really a big thing in the truck industry as well, right? You can have your kids who love or hate Ford even though they're not old enough to drive a Ford, which is kind of crazy. And this is all across the board. So whether it's Brinkley, whether it's Grand Design, yeah, I know Grand Design went through a huge fiasco with a lot of folks, right? They were definitely at the forefront of haterade for a long time, rightfully so for a lot of folks, but at the same time, they've made a lot of improvements, they've made a lot of changes. That said, there is a huge Grand Design following who will defend the brand to the death. They love their Grand Design units. They've never had a problem, or if they have had a problem, it's been taken care of. of. Then there are a lot of people who have had problems. There are people who have had major problems, and they hate the brand because of either what they feel is lack of service, lack of response to their legitimate needs, lack of real issues that they felt should have been addressed because of what they spent, and just the fact that they felt things were being deflected. The reality is a lot of companies do that. That's a challenge you're going to deal with just about every manufacturer out there. Where I'm going with this ultimately is, just because you watch people who either love a brand to death, they love it, they think that that brand is doing phenomenal things, or they hate the brand, they're publishing videos about how terrible it is, about their experience. Both of those should go into your educational research when it comes to buying an RV. Really should. You should look at the negative comments, the negative feedback, the people who are having problems, how those problems are being dealt with. You should ask those tough questions. You should look and really take serious if somebody's had a frame-related issue, if they've had a suspension, an axle, a window, a leakage problem, a seal problem, delamination, AC problems. You should look at research and include that in all of your understanding and education when it comes to determining if you should own an RV. But you should also look at the other side of it as well, and look at the fact that there are a lot of people, probably far more people, who are loving their RV, understanding what it takes to own one, understanding that things are going to break, understanding that the lifestyle is a constant lifestyle built around maintenance, repair, replacement, upgrades. Some of those things are really fulfilling. They feel great when you do them. Some of them are really frustrating whenever things fail, especially when you're using the RV, or when rats get into your RV, or you have brake-related issues, or you have electrical problems, things that we have personally dealt with our RV. Does it mean for me personally that they've been so major that we would never buy a Brookstone product again? And we did pay for this unit. It was a collaboration, so we did contribute a lot to this as well, but we did pay for it. And it was well over what you probably think. That said, whenever we have problems, I try to approach the problem from a perspective of, is it worth trying to get someone else to fix it? Or is it worth me trying to fix it and learn what that repair is? If it's beyond my scope, which fortunately, the only one that's been beyond my scope of all the problems was the brake issue, because I didn't really understand how the brakes should have been ran, what was acceptable, and when Dexter came out and they actually fixed it the way it should have been fixed, it was a very educational video for me and for a lot of followers. That was one that was beyond my scope, but it was also one that was brand new to the Coachman Brookstone lineup. They'd never done hydraulic disc brakes before on an RV. So again, there are all sorts of reasons why people may love or hate their RV, why people may love or hate RVs in general. For the most part, people tend to love the lifestyle more than they hate it, but there are a lot of legitimate folks out there who have had problems. The reality comes down to the research. It really does. And I think anybody can agree with that. The research you do, not just on a brand, not just on RVing in general, but on the specific RV you're looking at. Get an inspector. If you don't know what to inspect for, that's probably the better caveat. If you don't know and you haven't learned and you haven't done the research to truly know what to inspect for, don't assume that the dealership is going to do a good job at that. Don't assume they're going to get an RV and go through it with a fine-tooth comb, looking at every facet of the electrical, looking at all the details of it to try to make sure that you're buying like the best unit possible. Don't assume that's going to happen, because 9 out of 10 or 99 out of 100 times that's not going to happen. Either you have to educate yourself on what to look for and dive deep into the unit you're looking at to see if it fits or if it doesn't fit the criteria of an RV you think is built right, or you need to let someone else do it for you. Hire an inspector. I'm not specifically going over any particular one, but they should be a graduate of an academy like the NRVTA, or an organization that's trained them on how to properly inspect and check for issues such as gaps, leaks, seals, electrical, plumbing, connections, making sure things were just put together properly. Then make sure when the inspection's over that you approve of that inspection, that you're happy with the results. It is critically important that you take a vested interest, if you want your RV to meet any level of expectations you have for RVing, to educate yourself, to learn as much as you can, to either hire someone who can do the things you can't do, or to learn it yourself so you can go through and make sure that the inspection of the RV you're going to spend your money on, and in many cases financed for well over 10 years, is done the way it should be done, is built the way it should be built, and is going to meet the expectations for the way you plan on using it as a camper. That's probably the biggest one. If you're a full-timer or a weekend warrior, if you travel a couple times a year or multiple times a year, if you're living in your RV, if you are going to extreme cold or extreme hot climates, if you are going to be towing it over really rough roads, if you plan on boondocking, all of these things should go into your research and should determine whether you feel you can do the inspection or you need to hire someone to do the inspection, or if the RV you're looking at is even going to be the right RV for you and your family. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you enjoyed this video. It's an important one, and as we decide what the replacement RVs are going to be for the 2 units here, it's even more important for me to talk about this topic because I'm going to have to apply it very soon to whichever manufacturer we decide to look at. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up. We'll talk to you again real soon.